So, Astria Ascending. I had some very high hopes for this. It's made by a couple of Final Fantasy veterans. One of the guys wrote story elements for some of the Final Fantasies, and the music composed for this game also helped contribute music towards Final Fantasy Tactics. It's a turn-based JRPG and looks fantastic. Everything upon upon what you see in the trailers, looks brilliant. Turn-based RPG, beautiful hand-drawn characters in a lush, colourful, vibrant world full of different-looking characters and species. On the surface, it looks absolutely brilliant. It was something I was really looking forward to. Now, upon playing the game, the one thing I will say is the combat is brilliant. It's your traditional turn-based JRPG, and it's got a little interesting mechanic where some enemies and your own party have weaknesses to particular elements, fire, lightning, water, etc. If you can find out what this weakness is and then expose it and use that element upon them, you'll deal more damage, but you'll also increase a meter. And as this meter increases, you can then use that to empower your spells and attacks even more and deal more damage. Obviously, on the other hand as well, the enemies can do the same to you. So there is a very interesting balancing act. And as long as you've got the right party in place, yeah, the fights can be good and interesting. Now, to counterbalance that though, the game does suffer from some huge difficulty spikes. Even the very first few bosses, they're challenging, which is great, but they might be too challenging for some people. Now later in the game, as you go into new dungeons, those difficulty spikes become even bigger. You'll often find you'll go into a new dungeon and you'll be massively underpowered, even from the end of the last dungeon, and you'll have to spend hours grinding just to be able to progress within the dungeon. Then when you reach the boss, you're still underpowered, and again you have to grind, and this becomes more and more obvious and a bigger and bigger demand as the game goes along. Thankfully, there is a difficulty setting that you can change even within the dungeon, so you can win one fight, and if it was a struggle you can lower it down to easy and to very easy, which is very much appreciated, and it helps you progress within the game. What else I would say is, one of the things about the game is, as I was going through it, I started to wonder what the actual plot of the game was. About the 10-hour mark. At the 10-hour mark, which is, 5 films worth of length, I still don't know what the plot was. You were basically going from one dungeon because enemies were appearing and going, oh, why are these enemies here? And, oh, look, they're over there now, let's go to that dungeon. And, oh, why are these enemies here? Oh, no time for that. They're over in that dungeon now, let's go over here. Oh, no, there's more enemies over here. It was just going from one place to the next, to the next, to the next, just fighting enemies for the sake of fighting enemies. And I don't know why, or at least I didn't for about 10 hours. And even haven't gotten that far, it was just your generic, I'm a bad person and don't like the good things in the world, so I'm going to make it a bad place. The plot was neither here nor there, and unfortunately combined with the grinding of the battle system, I can't lie that about the 15-16 hour mark, it was too much. The story wasn't enough to keep me involved, the grind was too much to keep going, and ultimately I did stop there. It's a fine game in its own right. There's nothing inherently wrong with it. It just needs a bit of, quality of life. Just needs a bit of quality of life. It just needs the balance setting a bit better on the combat. And maybe it might be enough to keep you going with the mediocre plot that's kind of there or thereabouts. One other thing I think is worth pointing out, and I'm sorry if it feels like I'm being quite negative here, is that you're given all 8 of your party members right at the start of the game. Now, for people new to the genre, this might be a bit overwhelming because each character has their own specific traits. You have like a thief, magician, so on and so forth. Now, normally in a JRPG, you're given time with just 1 or 2 characters to get used to the game's mechanics, to get used to the characters, and to be involved and connected with that character. Slowly but surely, in traditional JRPGs, you get more party members introduced into your party, and then you're given the freedom to mix up your party to find out what characters work well in what situation and work well with other party members. As I say, you're given all 8 at the start of this game, so you lose that sense of, well, progression, as in building up your party and finding out different varieties within that group, but also as well, you're never really given the moments to become invested with particular characters. Each character does ultimately have their own little plot within the greater scheme of things, but I feel it would have been better, considering that the plot itself doesn't really get going for many hours into the game. I feel it would have been better if you were only given 1 or 2 characters at a time, so then you had that sense of progression rather than just being given everything all at once. It's not everyone's cup of tea. I'm a big JRPG fan, and I gave up on it. What I'll show you now at the end of the video is a fight that went from very easy just up to easy, and the leap in difficulty you will see is huge. And this is while I'm at one of those moments where I'm going to have to start grinding again to progress. And you know, I'm already fluttering around that easy, very easy level, so if I manage to get any further, then it's going to get even more difficult, and I can't lower it any further in difficulty, so I'd have to grind even more to get higher and higher. And it was just that, it was just too much. That's why I left it. It's fine, but I wouldn't go around and push it upon every single person. But yeah, check it out if JRPGs are your thing.
Like that! Whoop.
Sorry.
Ready! Yeah! Whoop.
My turn.
I'll take you all on.
Let's see. Like that!
Ha ha! Hiya! I'll take this. Nice shot.
Leave it to me.
My turn now.
Ready! Yeah!